Hey everyone, this is Damon. I am back with Mike Bloxam,
Howdy.
Brian Green from the Alice Place fan site, and joining us for the first time from her own YouTube channel, The Wolf and the Storm, is Lisa Hollifield.
Hello.
Welcome. Hello. so,
Oh,
tell us a little bit about your channel, if you don't mind.
well, my channel is primarily dedicated to Doctor Who stuff and David Tennant fan stuff, but I also intersperse in here and there reviews about shows that mean a great deal to me. One of which happens to be Quantum Leap, because I was around when the show was new, so there's been a long time coming.
Yeah. And with that, we are talking about Quantum Leap, Season 1, Episode 16, Ben Interrupted. When Ben lands in a 1950s psychiatric institution, he must engineer a daring escape for a young woman unjustly committed by her husband. The team is shocked to learn the identity of a mole in Quantum headquarters. The leap date is 1954. But we do have a more specific leap date based off of footage that apparently got cut for runtime, which we'll get back to in a minute. And Ben has leaped into Liam O'Connor, who is actually a detective undercover,
PI,
right?
I think. Private Eye.
A PI?
Investigator, yeah.
Right. As mentioned last week, when we talked. We remember, Mike, that we said that was Ben Interrupted originally.
Yeah.
I mean, Ben, and then
Just
it was
Ben?
just Ben, because they revealed all the episode titles like about a month ago or so for like the last 6 episodes. So I found that odd at the time.
Yeah.
But because it was like Ben's Song for the Defense and then Ben, like really, like how many times are you going to put Ben's name in the title of these episodes?
I don't know about you, but that just stinks of laziness.
a little.
I get that they're trying to be cute with it, but there've been, I agree. I feel like there've been too many in the first season to be using his name.
It's focusing on the wrong thing, for one. It's not about Ben. It's about the people he interacts with on the leaps.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But getting back to that specific leap date, so Dean Georgaris was being interviewed on the most recent Fate's Wide Wheel podcast, and he had mentioned that the original cut of this episode was about 52 minutes. And 2 of those minutes were an extended scene of Ben being wheeled in the in that hallway by one of the orderlies, right? And apparently there was a radio broadcast that could be heard that was announcing the decision of Brown versus Board of Education. And when I Googled that, the date of that court case ran from December 9th, 1952 to May 17th, 1954. So, and Brian, you have that now on your site because I told you that. That's apparently, that should be the leap date that we have, because we've mentioned this before, how I really wish we got those specific leap dates.
Yeah, because, I mean, headquarters knows what the leap date is, so why not just say it?
Yeah.
Why not have Addison tell Ben every time? This is the date.
Yeah, right. Well, anyway, so I think we were kind of on the same page with stuff, but so what are our first impressions of this episode? You want to go first, Mike?
Sure. Well, first impressions, another bang-up job. They've really got a good streak going here as far as I'm concerned. It was a very different what do you want to say, mood than the rest of the series has been so far. We had that Halloween episode that was, I guess, more on the spooky, mysterious side. This one was downright creepy. We got shades of shock theater, but way beyond whatever happened to Sam there. I was expecting Ben to also receive some shock therapy at some point, but
I was wondering that myself.
Yeah, didn't get to that, and I'm glad they didn't. It would have been maybe too obvious of a callback.
Too similar.
But yeah, on the whole, I really enjoyed it. I liked how we had some advancement of the overall season plot happening at at Project Quantum Leap. And I think I mentioned to you, Damon, I never expected to hear the term evil leaper mentioned in this series, and here we are.
Never, ever thought we were going to hear that at all.
Yeah.
I was like, really?
Same.
I went like that. I was like, they did not. Did not.
Exactly, Lisa, exactly.
Yeah, to see Zoe's name on the screen was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did get to watch it quickly before we recorded again. It did. If you blink and miss, it right at the side it says "and her observer," and it cut off Thames. It said like it didn't say it like almost, but you just missed it. It cut off on the screen. How about you, Lisa? Why don't you tell us what you were thinking of this?
I could definitely feel the spirit of shock theater flowing through this episode. I was almost half expecting when they gave Ben the truth serum drugs, which again you had said was there's shades of what was that?
Starlight, Starbright. Yeah.
Starbright, where he got drugged in the hospital as an old man and started verbally blabbing about being Sam Beckett. That was kind of the same thing. Almost the dialogue was almost the same too.
Let's start with something simple, like your name.
No, Sam.
Sam.
Louder, please.
Dr. Samuel Beckett.
No. Think you gave him too much?
Do you know where you are?
I'm in New Mexico.
What is the date?
May 1st, 1999.
I was almost expecting that the truth serum drugs would do something to his brain and cause him to synergize with past leapers and start that coming through. But again, as Mike said, I'm kind of glad that they didn't, because one is too soon. Too soon. It took 3 seasons before Sam got that far, and a lot of leapers, coming in. So yeah, and also it would have been too much of a dead giveaway. But yeah, they definitely improved. This episode was big improvement. Big improvement. This probably is the best one that they've done.
Yeah, because you said it off mic that you weren't as much of a fan of this in the beginning, and but you want the show to succeed, so you have been liking this more. You said it's improving.
Yeah, my only issue with the show ever has been the fact I don't like Addison, and that I feel like they haven't done justice to the legacy of the original. I feel like they're not quite respecting the source material enough.
Yeah, I mean, there's some.
But they're not quite there yet.
Yeah. Hopefully they get a little more. I've said that too. Like we should be a little more connected. Just more than just passing a name. But
this was definitely a good gesture, except for the Martinez stuff. I was lost. They went one thing to another, and then to another, and I'm like, you've lost me.
All right. Well, we'll get back to Martinez in a minute. Brian, what's your thoughts on this episode?
I really enjoyed it too. The art direction on it was amazing. I thought I liked all the shadows and the lighting and all of that stuff. Inside the asylum. I liked the basic Leap story, although we didn't. There wasn't a lot of time for it because they were doing more mythology in this one, I think, kind of trying to connect all of that. But I did like the mythology part of it, and the backstory and everything. So it's starting to all finally come together for me. You got the future, and then you've got the present, which is kind of the past, and then you're going back into the past. So it's a little convoluted for, maybe more newbies, if you will. But overall, I really liked it. The ending, I also said, "What with magic?" And
What?
So interested to see where all that's going.
Yeah, well, we'll get back to that in a minute. Let's try to. You guys have to fill in the gaps for me a little bit with the Leap story, because I was trying to watch it and it was like very distracted. But what was it was basically just. What was her name? He was trying to get her out Because her husband.
Her husband had committed her to the asylum after she failed to have another child. They had had 4 miscarriages, and he wanted to have another.
Okay.
She just couldn't do it anymore. Like emotionally, she was overwrought because she had lost 4 children, and emotionally, she just couldn't do it. And he, I got fed up with the fact that she wouldn't give him a child, and took her to the doctor and had her declared to be hysterical, which is a common term that psychologists would use for women back then to explain any and all mental problems.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was
someone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I was trying to. I kind of lost sight of it because, as Brian, you said, with the mythology, I feel some of that story got a little bit lost because there was so much going on in this episode. So I kind of missed the part where like, why was she there? Why did her husband put her there? So thank you all for clarifying that for me. Even after a rewatch it, like, my son was kind of distracting us while we were watching it. So I'm like, I couldn't really hear a lot of what was going on.
Her sister was the one that contracted Liam O'Connor to get her out. Right. They came up with the idea of sending him in there as a patient to find her.
Right. So we did point it out last week when we saw the Leap ending that the Dr. Mueller was played by Patrick Fischler. And for anyone who is a fan of Lost, he was Phil, one of the men that worked in in Sawyer's security detail in the Dharma Initiative in season 5, and he was also the author in Once Upon a Time. He had, as we said last week, he had one of those real creepy faces. I think he pulled that creepiness factor, just like, oh my God, I was. That truth serum thing with the. Ahmad and I were watching that, and I was like, oh no. I couldn't believe they were going there again. I was like...
It was dialogue eerily similar to that episode. Like, eerily similar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't give out his Umbra code or anything like that.
Oh, Social Security number.
He was basically saying, here's my real name, I'm a time traveler from Project Quantum Leap, but obviously not dealing with government officials. This is a crazed so-called doctor who's extracting information, and I don't think he believed him. But,
right, that's why I wasn't as worried in this case. I could tell that they weren't taken seriously. He was just mentally, unsound.
But I hope that means they're not going to use that again in the series with Ben.
Right?
They've already done it. It's done.
Yeah,
the reference has been made.
Yeah,
no more truth serums.
That asylum was creepy. I was actually, now rewatching it now, I'm like thinking Arkham Asylum, like with Batman, and it was like on this island, and I was also like maybe Shutter Island, that movie, where they were all in the something. I forget that movie. It's something like that, right?
Yeah. And Ian even says the word "shutter."
They did
in one of his little lines, and I thought that was kind of neat because they're on George's Island.
His Levy worked out of Boston, so I'm assuming this is an island off the coast of Massachusetts somewhere.
Okay.
I will say this though: of all the episodes they've done, because this has been a persistent problem, this is the most immersive and best set dress I've seen. The other episodes, this show has had a serious problem with immersion and making you feel like you're in that time period. Serious problem. The original show, even though they didn't have a lot to work with, every single week you always felt like you were in the 60s or the 50s or whatever. Yeah. This show has a serious problem with it. This was the first time I actually felt like I was in 1954.
Yeah. Well, we also had the music. Mr. Sandman and Mike, you usually bring up the music.
Yeah. I'm always listening for it. Yeah, it's funny because I didn't know if that was supposed to be on a radio somewhere or if they were just playing it for funsies. But you're right. Mr. Sandman by the Chordettes and then Shaboom by the Chords. So interesting choices. I thought that Mr. Sandman was maybe, oh, Ben's going to have a little nap later.
Yeah, I was wondering that. I was like thinking to myself, yeah, life could be a dream. Like, those song choices mean something sometimes.
As soon as I heard that song, the first thing that popped into my mind was Clue.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's
movie Clue.
yes, that is my wife's, like, one of her favorite movies is Clue.
Yes, I did it. I killed Yvette. I hated her so much. Flames on the side of my face, heaving breaths.
We've mentioned that before. I was getting creeped out. Yeah, they almost gave what's her name, the lobotomy.
Yeah, when he breaks out that tool, that was a little creepy.
Yeah, what I will say is that this was just very, like, this whole, like you said, Brian, the tone, right? It's just this was just very. It was very dark and a little unsettling. Let's see. Janice is back, along with Beth. We finally got to see Susan Diol again for all of like 10 seconds, but we saw her.
Like 5 seconds.
Like, really? Is that yay? I guess she's back.
And I was thinking, why is Janice on house arrest with Beth, who she just drugged?
She basically slipped her mom a Mickey. Like, come on, like.
Well, maybe they figure Beth won't be going easy on her.
Probably because they didn't trust her to be anywhere else, and because she's proven to be too smart and she can get around all the other security guys. And it's her mother. I know people were like, "Why would she want to take care of her child after her daughter?" She's a mother. Mothers forgive.
Yes, I know, but I have had my issues with Janice. Like, that still doesn't sit right with me that she basically drugged her mom. Like, I don't like that choice that was made. That's all. I kind of like Janice, but at the same time, it's like she's finally talking. Like, come on, like, you could have solved a lot of problems by telling us what was going on. And
that is my biggest issue with her, is that, she complains that why aren't they doing more? How could they do more if they don't know anything?
Yeah, you're not telling them.
Dangles like little tiny tidbits and then pulls it back and doesn't tell them anything. Not anything of any consequence anyway.
Yeah. So, okay, the return of Martinez. This was, Mike, this is what we were talking about with Brian last week, that was a picture that was spoiled. That we saw that he was going to show up in this episode again. I'm like, again, you're spoiling it. So I wasn't setting my expectations too high because every time Ben has encountered him, it's been like 10 seconds at the end.
Yeah.
Like, and he has this rivalry with Martinez. Like, you haven't even like encountered him much in any of these leaps. But I was glad that we finally got, like, this is like their first full-fledged showdown. I don't know. Not really, because they were helping each other.
Yeah.
So we find out that he's leaping to help people just like Ben.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting.
Are you sure?
So
Are you really sure?
well,
helping
they can always change.
He was about to stab that nurse in the neck.
Well, I think he is more militaristic viewpoint. I think.
Do what you got to do. You got to stab somebody.
Yeah, he wants to get the mission done, but he'll do anything that's required to do it. Even nearly 2 days.
Yeah, I want to know who's in charge of him.
Yeah,
that would be interesting. Who's giving the orders? Yeah.
But can you guys explain something for me? Because first when they first saw him in episode 5 in Old West, he said, "If you get him away, I'll kill you." Then when they see him again, he says, "I'm trying to help you." So which is it? And then he stabs him in the neck. So which is it?
I'm wondering if Martinez's leaps are in a different order than Ben's. If like the one in Salvation, I almost felt like was toward the end of Martinez's run as a leaper, because the way he warned him, it was as if he expected Ben to know who he was. But then Ben had no idea.
Yeah. Well, he looked a lot younger there in Salvation.
In Salvation?
Yeah. I know it's
I'd have to go back and watch, I guess.
I remember my theory had been for a while that because he said you're following me, so I don't remember if I had mentioned it that my theory was that Ben was literally working backward along, like if this is if these are Ben's leaps going forward, he's moving backward along Martinez's. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
Yeah, but this entire definition makes no sense. Like, he says he's trying to help people.
Yeah.
Then why does he have to kill Addison to do it? Like, what is so? Why does she need to be dead?
I'm sure we will find out in the finale.
Yeah.
I've been suspecting that it just has something to do with that's something that she was going to do, or well, at this point now I'm not so certain, because again, it's like this kind of threw things for a loop. I used to think it was that maybe he was going back to like prevent, like she was going to do something catastrophic that they had to stop, and that he's figure, well, just get rid of the cause, that it's her. But
the only thing I can think of is, you remember in the beginning, she said she was originally supposed to be the leaper.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe in his timeline, she is.
Yes.
And maybe she did something dumb.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I definitely think that's what it is. That he comes from a timeline where she left already. That's what I think.
But he comes from a timeline that worries me, because it's obvious, him being a soldier, that Quantum Leap has fallen under strict military control.
Yes.
I don't like it, because they're using it for their own ends.
They kind of hinted that this was where they might be going because of the congresswoman that came earlier, right. And they were like, so I know they were planting the seeds, I think, pretty early on for this. The fact that Martinez could see Addison.
Yes.
I was like, I kind of suspected it, but I was like, oh, that's very interesting.
I was wondering how that was going to work.
So he doesn't have a hologram. If everything works like they're saying
that
now,
we know
he doesn't have one because she couldn't see. Right.
Yeah,
that far into the future, they might have been able to develop the project to the point where they can pinpoint exactly where they need to go, and he doesn't need one. Whatever.
And no Swiss cheese effect.
Yeah.
Apparently, because he seems to remember everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although Ben himself,
he walked in like he
he tends to remember just about everything.
Yeah, he initially had that partial amnesia, but everything since he's been remembering. There's no forgetting things between leaps.
Yeah, I think the producers.
That's the saying. The show is consistent. Right. Not consistent.
I think the producers kind of said that they wanted to, like, they don't want him to like forget Addison each time, because it's like, because that was something that, like, Sam would always kind of forget things in the original show, and because it was like sometimes it was convenient.
He didn't forget Al. No.
He always knew
little things about his life. Yeah. Because what was it in the original show when it was like, oh, do you remember when we switched places, and Al would be like, no, but then other times he's like Al would ask Sam the same thing. I'm like, no, I don't remember. So it always seemed like it was kind of convenient. Like sometimes Sam forgot, and sometimes Al said he forgot.
That specific example, I think Al intentionally was saying no, because perhaps it was one of those double star, top secret, don't discuss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure.
And it wasn't like Sam didn't remember anything. He definitely remembered bits and pieces from his leaps. Not a lot, but enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I know.
I mean,
he always.
image the last episode. He recognized all the people that were in the bar as people that he had either leapt into or knew from past leaps.
Right. Yeah. So we say Martin doesn't seem like he has a hologram, but I think it stands to reason that if he did, or maybe he does, I thought that Ben would probably see that hologram too. Mm-hmm. So this is where, so Mike, when I had said that I had theories and I wasn't sure if I wanted to share them, it had to do with these synopses, which I kind of wish that NBC wasn't spoiling this stuff because we knew that there was a mole. So I was like, okay, and they were talking about this mole coming up, and then we saw Martinez was going to be back in the same episode. So I'm like, maybe the mole is somebody that we know, and it's going to be somebody like Jen or Magic, because I don't know why I was thinking that. And I was like, I kind of hope that that's not where they're going, because I don't know if I like that.
Yeah.
I'm glad. And then Jen wasn't in this episode. Uh-oh.
Oh, we lost Brian.
We lost Brian. Oh, hold on. Uh-oh. Let's see.
There he is.
Sorry, guys. Some kind of technical issue there. It logged me out.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Did you hear us right before you cut out, or was talking about... what was I saying?
Your theory and how they spoiled with the synopses.
Oh, with Jen. Okay. We were saying a bit with Jen. Okay.
Yes.
Right, because Jen wasn't in this episode. So, and then I was like, oh, I hope my theory is in... I really hope that's not where they're going with this. Because they were setting it up that she was a hologram in the last episode. So I'm like, oh, that would just be... But it turns out she was just actually really sick with COVID. That's what she's like. Nanrissa said that somewhere, and they basically wrote that into the script, I guess. Like, oh yeah, she's got a cough. I sent her home.
Yeah.
And then speaking of the mole, we discover that it's Ziggy.
What?
What?
Yeah. What?
The mainframe turns red.
Yes, that was a little too much.
I loved it, man. I gotta say, I loved it.
I think that they're not respecting the source material. Jesus.
Well, I said last week, I don't know if, like, because even Amada said it, that what has been going on with Ziggy lately. It was like, why won't she talk? I know you said things, Brian, and she's probably never going to talk, but yeah, what do we think of this? Like, is this good? Is this bad? What?
Well, Ian did a funny imitation of Ziggy.
Yes, I missed that the first time.
Yeah. But that led me to believe Ziggy hasn't spoken to them. So,
right.
Maybe you're right, Brian, that she won't. But
and Ziggy was in a different place. So 30 years later, they're digging out parts, reprogramming stuff, and I can see why it could be different and why there could be problems because of that. So,
according to Dean, when he joined us in the Fates Wide Will podcast, he said that the reason why they didn't bother with it was because the talking computer thing was like a 90s shtick, and they thought it would be created if they did. I was like, no, come on, if you're gonna have Deborah Pratt there doing writing and all this stuff, utilize her. She's right there. She's literally the voice.
Yeah.
I mean, fans want to hear her voice. They want to hear Ziggy. Ziggy was given that personality for a reason. And that's why I think this is happening. Because, I actually typed that in the chat during the podcast, my theory. And Caitlin Bassett, the actress who plays Addison, was at the chat. Mm-hmm. And she was like, oh, that's a cool theory. And I was like, oh, thank you. my theory was that after having lost Sam, that Ziggy was made by Sam. She's intensely loyal to Sam, and by virtue of that, she's also loyal to Al. So Al was the only person she had left to connect her to Sam. And then when Al passed away, because we already know, like the Dean, Al passed away previous year.
Yeah.
I think after losing that, she wouldn't trust these new people.
Yeah,
Sam and Al were the only ones that could shut her up. Basically, they were the only one that could temper her. So without them there, I think she kind of.
I mean, it kind of. Yeah, I think it kind of makes sense why she hasn't been talking because of this. It's
she would talk to Janice because Janice is Al's daughter.
But would she? I don't know. I don't know. I just know this is probably going to be
3 daughters.
Yeah. Yes. Where are the other daughters?
Maybe we'll get to see that later. I mean, we are in just season 1, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Not scientifically inclined.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's going to be very interesting now seeing where this is all going. I'm assuming it's just, this is the thing is I wish that they just hadn't piled. It does seem like they're piling this all on right at the very end. I feel like they could have spread this out a little bit more, giving us a little more, sprinkle some things here and there in different episodes. Instead, now it just feels like, oh, we're just getting this all. Big, huge dump on everything, like info dump everywhere, all at once. So...
Because he's going to finish it. He's only got so left. And I think he did say that this storyline was definitively going to be like wrapped up with a bow by the end of this season. So what does that mean for season 2? If the whole thing with Martinez is done, then what?
Yeah, I don't know.
Please let it be Sam. Please let it be Sam.
I have to think that they're still trying to get him.
Yeah, I'm trying to give him a little credit because, it is just season 1. And even in the original series, season 1 was all over the place. They were changing things and going back and forth, trying to figure it out. So maybe that's what they're trying to do here. I don't know that they thought they were going to get this far. In the first episode, the script, Sam was in it, but then Sam didn't do it. So they changed everything. They had to redo everything in a short period of time, and they got renewed. So maybe, now they've had some time to really flesh it out and maybe come up with a more coherent story going forward. But, I'm enjoying this anyway. It's just kind of neat to watch them figure it out and come up with things.
Yeah,
even if it's not stuff that I really like, particularly, it's still kind of neat to see what they're going to do with it. So.
Yeah, I am. I have been enjoying this. This was just... you know what? The last thing I'll talk about is the whole... Well, I love the whole Ben Addison thing. I understand why some people don't. But whether you like them or not, that acting in that final scene when Ben gets stabbed, he got seriously injured. Like he almost died this time, and not getting a death, like a reset from the from the time loop. This was like he almost died. I was like, and Addison was just, I don't know if Caitlin was really pulling from her real military background with that, but just soldiering on and really trying to get him to climb up that ladder, get in that car, cauterize that wound with that. Ouch.
Yeah, that was a sight to see.
Yeah, for Quantum Leap, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good though. It looked good.
Yeah, this was intense. This was I didn't expect to see that on this show. I didn't really expect it to go there. And just her, she's done it before. I think her acting is really I don't know. I think it's great. I know people have complained about her acting, but when she's really emotional like that, I felt it.
Mm-hmm.
And even with
a good
Ray,
scene.
yeah.
I mean, the scene was well done. I won't lie, and she's a decent actress. The problem is, I just feel like the relationship gets in the way of Ben being able to do what he needs to do.
Agreed.
No,
I like it.
no scenes where he's even okay. Case in point, in the Let Them Play episode, he was married. The person he leapt into was married, and that night he didn't even sleep in the same bed with her. He slept on the couch. I was like, "You got to be kidding me! Are they really terrified of letting him be the person that he's supposed to be? Like,
No,
seriously?"
I think that's because he was in trouble with the wife because
Yeah.
she was upset with him for.
They keep coming up with excuses and ways to get around it and avoid it. And is it really that problematic?
That's a
Well,
good point.
I've had the theory that if when all is said and done, that maybe part of what they're going to do for the next season is, and I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but there might be some kind of timeline reset where in this new timeline, maybe they never were romantically involved, but Ben will remember that they were. I don't know. Because I'm thinking of the butterfly effect, and if he changes something that happened in the future, and if maybe then there's no reason for Ian to leap back, but the timeline has to correct itself somehow. You know, like they said in Lost, like timeline always wants to course correct. So it would reset to a point where there has to be another reason for Ben to leap. And it wouldn't involve Addison. So maybe in this new timeline, I don't know. That's where I'm going with it. But maybe that might be too complicated for the average viewer. I mean, it's some crazy shit that we would come up with in the virtual season. Which we have come up with.
Yes.
It's just that for me, some of the best episodes of the original show is when Sam had to charm women in order to make a relationship work or save a marriage or whatever. He never went too far. He never did. He did just enough to make it work. I mean, think about this. Let's take the episode Black on White on Fire. You guys remember this episode? Yep. Okay.
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
This woman that he was with was absolutely like falling down in love with him. And Sam obviously responded to that to make the relationship, he went with the flow and did what he had to do. If that was Ben in Sam's place, honestly, like really?
Right.
It would be so cold, and you couldn't do that because the relationship between the two of them was the foundation of that story.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's
or the one where he's on the boat and he's trying to stop his fiance from marrying another man.
Oh yeah.
By having to charm her and make her fall back in love with him or whatever.
Right. Sea Bride.
Ben couldn't do that. Ben couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Those were really great episodes. You can't recreate. You got her in the way.
Yeah, I think
I'm going to rebuttal on that a little. He thought with his loins a couple of times. Trilogy.
Twice. It only happened, Catch a Falling Star was heavily implied, so I'll say 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're correct.
But that never went.
Yeah, I think it's just a byproduct of modern television. Unfortunately, it's just they don't want to. They're trying not to be too problematic with. I don't think they wanted to just imply these like sleeping around with everybody, and I don't know.
One of my favorite episodes of the original was when he was the bounty hunter, and he had to deal with that woman who was his catch, and she was driving him absolutely crazy. But at the same time, it was because he had a thing for her.
Right.
It was so funny.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I don't know. I enjoy it anyway, despite all that. Anything else we want to cover about this episode before we wrap up? Anything else anybody could think of?
There were 2 reflections for Ben in this episode. The first one was really cool in the glasses.
Yes.
That was, I don't think they've ever done glasses before, right? That was pretty neat. And then the other one was in the, I'll call it the torture chamber, where Martinez had him around the neck there, and then the 2 of them were in the reflection, which, of course, we haven't seen a dual reflection since the Evil Leaper episodes.
Yeah, that's true. Was there a name for the person that Martinez leaped into? I missed
yes,
it.
but I didn't write it down. I don't recall.
I'll find it in a second.
It wasn't Leonard or Len or something like that.
Yeah, it sounds familiar. Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, that was cool. I think there were a few really great shots there. I like the shot of the asylum too, and
yeah,
it was just overall really just I love this episode. As you said, Lisa, this is probably one of my favorite episodes this season so far. So yeah.
The only annoying thing about the present day stuff was when they brought Janice into the facility to get information from her, and then as soon as she was trying to talk to them, they wouldn't believe her. It was like, come on.
Yeah.
You want her to talk, but she starts talking, and you immediately think she's full of crap.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, maybe if she'd been a little more upfront with them about stuff, they wouldn't have a reason to distrust her either, and.
But it's just not going anywhere, and it's frustrating.
Yeah. Brian, anything you want to add, or anything else?
Lawrence was the name of the guy he reached into.
That was Lawrence. It. Okay. Yeah. Anything else you want to add to the before we wrap up, or are you freezing up?
I think he froze.
Are you frozen? Oh. Okay. We'll try to get him back and then wrap this up because it's going longer than. Well, I figured it would probably go this long. So.
And it's interesting that Shock Theater also takes place in 1954.
Yes.
So somewhere during that leap, somewhere out there, Sam was there too.
Yeah.
In the same position.
Yes. Yeah. We heard you. We heard you before with Lawrence.
Lawrence.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You just want to say that again, Lisa, before, because I think Brian came in as you were saying that.
That the fact that the year was 1954, and that's the same year that Sam was in Shock Theater.
Yeah.
So somewhere out there, Sam's doing the same thing.
Yeah. I think that if that date was correct, I think that was Sam was later. Wasn't it like September of 54 or something like that? I don't remember.
September.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess that's it. We have nothing else to add. That pretty much sums up.
Sorry.
Oh, October.
October 3rd, 1954.
That was it, right. We have nothing else to say, and I guess that's it. That's our review of Ben Interrupted. And we didn't get a leap out for the next one. After that big Ziggy reveal. I mean, I kind of understand why.
Yeah.
But the next episode is called The Friendly Skies. And I guess I could say the synopsis for this one now because it makes sense. When Ben leaps aboard a 1970s passenger jet as a flight attendant, he must outwit its hijackers before it mysteriously crashes into the Atlantic. And worse, he has to do it all without Ziggy's help. You know why Ziggy's not helping. Oh yeah, that's the joke going around in the Facebook groups. Like, why don't you just pull the plug out and do a reset or Control Alt Delete? Those are the jokes going around. I think
that would be exceptionally awesome because one of the highlights of this. No, seriously, one of the highlights of this episode was the fact that Ben came up with that plan on his own for once instead of having Addison lead him around like a child.
Yeah.
You know, he did it by himself. Yes, you are a grown-ass man. You can think.
Yeah. Well,
this would be great to see on his own because when he's on his own, he does such a good job. In the Halloween episode, she was hardly there, and he did all of that by himself, and he was great. Yeah. It was one of the best episodes of the season to have her just not there and him just be able to think.
Yes. Yeah, I agree that it's just like Addison is just always has to stick around because it's like, yeah, I love my man, and I have to make sure I'm here.
Even when Jen was there in the last one, she was only there just to pass him stuff that he needed to know if he needed to know it. Most of it he was doing himself.
Right. Well, this has gone pretty long. What were you saying, Brian?
The effects. I thought there were a lot more effects in this than there have been in any other one so far. The last one I thought was more effects.
Oh, it was more?
With visual effects. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they did the thing with the hand link again, which we hadn't seen in a while. Right. I thought that was cool.
It's the first episode, yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently there was so so many that the episode screener wasn't finished.
That's why.
Like it
Yes.
usually is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why like all the other podcasts were late this week. So yeah. And speaking of which, I will just add for myself, just a tiny little plug for myself that I am. It should be available by the time this is uploaded because it takes me a few days to edit this. But I was a guest co-host on the Quantum Leap podcast with Christopher D. Philippus and Matt Dale. Because Alison Pregler stepped down for the last few episodes, and they've been trying to fill slots, and I was available. So that should be available now. I will put a link to that in the description. And we're wrapping up. So Lisa, thank you so much for joining us. This was a lot of fun. Where can everybody find you in your channel?
I have a YouTube channel, The Wolf in the Storm. You can hit me up there, or I am on Twitter quite a bit at wolfandstorm78.
Mm-hmm.
You can hit me up there.
Sounds good. All right, everybody. So be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And until next time, everybody, we'll be back with the friendly skies. See ya, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.
Yeah.